When someone complains that their coffee is too hot, that a text message is too long, or that you're always late by 5 minutes, they're not really talking about coffee or timing. They're revealing something far more important, a hidden truth about how their mind actually works. Most people think a complaint is just a complaint. It's not. Every small grievance is a window into someone's personality, their fears, and the way they see the world. Here's what makes this fascinating. The person complaining has no idea they're doing this. They think they're making a logical observation. They're actually exposing their deepest patterns. So what exactly are we seeing when someone nitpicks? And why does it matter? Pay attention to this, because within the next few minutes, you'll start noticing these patterns everywhere in your boss, your partner, your best friend, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about a moment someone complained to you about something small, something trivial, something that honestly didn't seem like a real problem. Did you ever wonder why they cared so much about that one tiny thing? There's a reason, and it's not random. Psychologists call this phenomenon complaint analysis, but it's really about understanding what psychologists call selective negativity bias. Your brain doesn't complain about everything that goes wrong. It complains about the things that threaten something you care about. Let me explain. Your mind is constantly filtering millions of pieces of information. It can't process all of it, so it prioritizes. It focuses on things that feel dangerous, wrong, or threatening to something you value. When your partner complains that you never ask about their day, they're not actually upset about one missed conversation. They're revealing that they feel unseen. They're saying, connection matters to me and I don't feel it. When your boss complains that reports are never on time, they're not obsessed with punctuality. They're revealing that they feel out of control. They're saying, predictability and order matter to me, and I feel chaos. When someone complains that people never listen, they're revealing something deeper. My need to be heard is not being met, and that makes me feel invisible. The complaint is the surface. The pattern underneath is what matters. Here's a real example. A woman keeps mentioning that her friend is always flaky. She brings it up constantly. 1 canceled plans, 2 missed calls, 1 late arrival, and she's telling everyone her friend is unreliable. Most people think she's just critical. But look deeper. This woman likely values dependability intensely. Maybe she grew up with someone unpredictable. Maybe she learned that reliability is safety. So when her friend is late, it's not just a minor inconvenience. It's triggering something much older, a fear that people won't show up for her. The complaint reveals the wound. Another example. A man constantly complains about people being fake. He criticizes authenticity constantly. He points out when someone is pretending, exaggerating, or being inauthentic. He sees fakeness everywhere. Does he have some special ability to detect fakeness? Usually not. What he's revealing is that authenticity is an extremely high value for him. Maybe he grew up in an environment where people hid their true feelings. So now his mind is hyper alert to inauthenticity. He's protecting himself. The complaint reveals the priority. This pattern shows up in research on what psychologists call attribution patterns. The things we judge most harshly in others are usually the things we either deeply value or deeply fear. A study from Stanford found that when people rate others as selfish, their own sense of generosity is usually being threatened in some way. When they label others as dishonest, they often have a strong personal commitment to honesty themselves, or they've been deeply hurt by betrayal. Your complaints are a map to your values and your vulnerabilities. But here's something even deeper. The frequency of a complaint matters. 1 criticism is information. Constant criticism is a signal. If someone brings up the same complaint repeatedly, nobody ever helps me, people are always disappointed by me, everyone is against me, they're not describing reality. They're describing their internal narrative. They're showing you how they interpret events. This is related to what psychologists call confirmation bias. Once your brain believes something about the world, it starts finding evidence everywhere. A person who believes people are unreliable will remember every time someone was late and forget every time someone came through. The complaint becomes self-reinforcing. Another layer. The language someone uses when complaining reveals something too. Some people say, I feel hurt when. Others say, you always or nobody ever. Listen to how the complaint is phrased. If someone says I statements, they're taking some responsibility. They're showing self-awareness. If they use always and never in you, they're externalize the problem. They see themselves as the victim of other people's behavior rather than as someone who can influence situations. Psychologists call this locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe they influence their outcomes. People with an external locus believe the world controls them, and their complaints sound completely different. Here's the practical side. Once you understand that complaints reveal patterns, you can use this understanding 3 ways. First, listen to your own complaints. What do you complain about most? List 3 things. Now ask yourself, what am I actually scared of? What matters to me that I feel is being threatened? Your complaints are showing you your deepest values and deepest fears. That's not something to ignore. That's something to understand. Second, when someone else complains, listen past the words. Don't try to solve the surface complaint. Instead, ask yourself, what value is being threatened here? What fear is being triggered? Once you understand the real issue, you can address it. A person complaining, "You're always busy," doesn't need you to prove you have free time. They need to feel prioritized. That's different. That's more real. Third, notice the difference between one complaint and a pattern. One complaint is feedback. A repeated complaint is a belief about the world. If someone brings something up once, listen. If they bring it up constantly, understand that they're stuck in a mental loop. You can't logic someone out of that. They need different support, maybe professional support, to break the pattern. Here's what to do with this insight. Reflect on your top 3 complaints. Write them down. For each one, ask, what am I actually afraid of? Or what matters to me here? The real answer is underneath the surface complaint. Once you understand it, you can communicate it more powerfully. When someone complains to you, pause before you respond. Ask yourself, what pattern am I hearing? What might they actually be saying? Then respond to that reality, not to the complaint itself. Notice when you're in a complaint loop about the same thing. When you catch yourself bringing up the same grievance repeatedly, that's a signal that something deep needs attention, either in the relationship, the situation, or in how you're interpreting it. Break the pattern by addressing the root, not the surface. In the end, complaints are not noise. They're data. They're the voice of your values, your fears, and your unmet needs trying to get your attention. The tiny complaints that irritate you most are showing you exactly what matters to you. And in other people, they're showing you exactly what they're trying to protect. Once you see this pattern, you'll start hearing the real message underneath every complaint, including your own. And that's when conversations change, relationships deepen, and misunderstandings disappear.